The scream hit mid-breath and clipped to a knife of static while warning lights bled red across the cabin. Dr. Elena Park said, "Raj." Seal laughed. The hull shivered like an animal. Raj Patel said, "Seal engaged, but pressure is falling." A whisper crawled in on a dying carrier, a secret tucked between crackles. Iris Cade said they changed the target after launch. The ship drifted into Earth's shadow, and the stars looked like holes punched in a curtain. Director Marcus Hale said, "Odysseus, maintain course, telemetry nominal." The numbers lied with clean smiles. Elena tasted copper and old fear and reached for the manual override. Raj said, "I saw the data spike, Elena." The whisper returned, softer. Iris said, "Not a storm. A door." The channel coughed and died. Silence spread like frost on glass. Elena said, "Confirm agency." The reply was a metronome of nothing. Somewhere deep, metal sighed. Somewhere closer, a heart did the same. Silence owned the cabin until the fans returned with a weary sigh, and the ship felt mortal again. Dr. Elena Park said, "Agency, we lost a channel after an unscheduled whisper." Director Marcus Hale said, "No anomaly on our end, proceed per flight plan." The words landed like ice chips. Raj Patel said, "Telemetry is clean because it is filtered." Iris Cade said, "We can argue or live, choose." The darkness outside pressed its face to the glass and grinned with constellations. Elena remembered a promise made under kitchen lights that smelled like oranges and homework. She pressed that memory into a hard place and locked it away. Elena said, "We troubleshoot in silence, no speculation on open comms." The ship rolled, and Earth's limb drew a cold line through the cockpit. Somewhere a relay clicked, like a coin falling into a payphone that no one would answer. The ship drifted into a pocket where instruments sulked and refused to speak. Dr. Elena Park said, "Manual star fix Raji." Raj Patel said, "Copy, I have Orion and a jealous error bar." Iris Cade said, "We are inside a data shadow." The phrase felt like an accusation. Elena opened the sighting port and let the dark pour in like cold tea. Elena said, "If the sky is honest, the agency is not." Raj's laugh died young. Director Marcus Hale said, "Maintain vector, do not deviate." The command sounded pre-corded. Elena counted stars while her pulse counted back. She wrote the truth on a slate of glass with grease pencil, each digit a small defiance. The ship hummed its answer in a minor key, and the hum felt older than the mission and older than lies. A recording surfaced without request, a ghost with perfect timing and poor manners. The voice was warped by distance and memory, laughing at first, then choking into a scream that did not finish. Dr. Elena Park said, "Origin?" Raj Patel said, "File header claims routine morale package, AT." Iris Cade said, "Header is forged." The ship's air tasted like pennies again. Director Marcus Hale said, "Disregard playback and continue." The scream returned as an echo ricocheting down a well. Elena pictured a corridor where someone kept running and did not arrive. Elena said, "If this is bait, we are already hooked." The recording clicked off and left a shape in the silence. The shape was hunger pretending to be truth. Orders arrived in a voice that had learned to sound humane. Director Marcus Hale said, "Odysseus, hold course toward objective Delphi and limit internal chatter." The word Delphi slid across the cabin like oil. Dr. Elena Park said, "Delphi was scrubbed pre-launch." Iris Cade said, "Delphi was renamed and buried." Raj Patel said, "Then we are digging with our teeth." Elena studied the vector and felt the ship lean toward an answer painted black. Elena said, "We proceed, but we record everything they deny." The stars ignored her vow. The hull ticked as if counting down a secret. Somewhere, a family photo floated face down. Somewhere, a door she could not see began to open. Dr. Elena Park pressed her palm to the viewport as Earth burned below in sunrise gold. She said, Home is a coin toss away, and still unreachable. Raj Patel drifted closer, careful not to touch her shoulder. Raj said, I left my father without goodbye. Elena said, I left my daughter with a lie. The stars blinked without comfort. Iris Cade said, stop feeding ghosts, focus on trajectory. Elena whispered, she'll wake thinking I returned for her birthday. The ship's hum sounded like regret, learning how to breathe. Agency silence filled the gap like concrete. Elena said, if silence is the price, then grief is the debt. She blinked hard against her reflection, and only saw the shadows of herself staring back. A ping declared an incoming file, cheerful against the tension. Dr. Elena Park said, playback. The screen flickered to reveal a kitchen, messy with cereal bowls. A girl's voice said, happy launch, Mom, I saved you a seat. Elena bit the inside of her cheek until copper rose. Raj Patel said, she has your eyes. Elena forced a smile, thin as glass. Elena said, she has her own eyes, and they deserve more than a ghost. Iris Cade muttered, family is a distraction. The message ended with a laugh Elena had not heard in years. Silence pressed in, brutal and kind. Elena whispered, don't let her wait forever. The ship swayed, like even metal understood. Raj Patel floated tools across the cabin, pretending at routine. He said, my father worked steel, he wanted me grounded, I chose sky. Elena Park said, you still carry him with you. Raj laughed, brittle. Raj said, he never once said he was proud. Elena adjusted a panel with more force than needed. Elena said, silence sometimes speaks louder than words. Iris Cade said, silence is survival, not affection. Raji's hands stilled midair, palms trembling. He whispered, I'd trade this sky for his approval. Elena caught the wrench, held it steady and said, then finish this mission alive. Raj met her eyes and found no room for escape, only resolve. Elena whispered her log into a recorder, voice soft as worn cloth. Elena said, entry 22. I failed once before. Crew dead, orbit lost, command stripped. They trusted me again, but trust is fragile glass. The pen scratched across the slate, each number an accusation. Raj Patel lingered nearby, pretending not to hear, eyes down. Elena said, if Delphi is real, then we are pawns. Iris Cade said, better pawns than corpses. Elena closed her eyes, replaying flames she never escaped. Elena said, survival is not redemption. Survival is just unfinished punishment. The recorder clicked, sealing her shame into digital amber. The cabin stretched quiet, but the air was tight, brittle. Iris Cade stood with her hands behind her back. She said, secrets are burdens. You wear yours like armor. Elena Park said, and you keep yours like knives. Raj Patel said, we don't have room for knives or armor. We only have each other. Iris smiled, cold as starlight. Iris said, each other is exactly what command will take from you. Elena's pulse thudded as she realized Iris watched too closely. Elena said, you speak like you've read the script already. Iris whispered, maybe I wrote it. The words cut more than steel could. The cabin snapped to a darker red as the power bus hiccuped and the nav vectors jittered like frightened birds. Dr. Elena Park said, we just lost the B loop. Raj Patel said, switcher failed to latch. Iris Cade said, or someone told it not to. The ship groaned in a long metal vowel that sounded like doubt. Elena said, we isolate, then reroute. Raj said, isolation kills guidance if I'm wrong. Iris said, hesitation kills us if you are. Director Marcus Hale said, telemetry nominal, proceed per plan. The plan felt like a dare carved on thin ice. Elena pressed her palm to the console and chose risk with a steady breath. She said, on my mark, cut B and feed through Delphi line. Raj said, that line is sealed. Iris whispered, not to me. Panels popped free like ribs and the smell of hot insulation pushed into the air. Raj Patel said, Junction 3 is arcing. Dr. Elena Park said, kill it before it kills us. Iris Cade said, I can bridge through a cold path if you trust me. Trust felt like a thin suit outside a storm. Raj said, we follow procedure. Iris said, procedure assumes they told us the truth. Elena weighed the second that might own all the others. She said, Raj, glove in and pull the fuse on my count. Raj's hands trembled and then steadied like a vow. Hale said, do not reconfigure without authorization. Elena said, authorization, acknowledge. Her eyes said otherwise. The comm channel brightened with authority and denial polished to a shine. Director Marcus Hale said, Odysseus, situation remains stable, negative on anomalies. Dr. Elena Park said, our instruments disagree. Hale said, sensor drift is expected in your regime. Raj Patel said, sensor drift doesn't smell like burnt plastic. Iris Cade said, copy your confidence withholding our trust. The silence that followed wore a badge. Hale said, proceed per flight plan and preserve bandwidth. The words left frost on every surface they touched. Elena counted her pulse to 4 and let anger cool into math. She said, we proceed, but we log everything we are told to forget. Elena traced a cable run that should not exist and found a splice tucked like a lie under insulation. Dr. Elena Park said, who touched Delphi downlink inside our hull. Raj Patel said, that port was locked on assembly. Iris Cade said, locks are stories we tell ourselves. The splice glittered with fresh cut marks that had not learned to hide. Elena said, this is sabotage or a buried directive. Raj said, if it is a directive it skipped us. Iris said, maybe it didn't. The ship's hum pitched up like a throat clearing before a confession. Elena photographed the splice and felt a door swing wider in her head. She said, we document and we survive. Exterior cams woke to a horizon that felt too attentive. The aurora braided itself into lines that imitated intent. Dr. Elena Park said, the sky is drawing maps. Raj Patel said, it is noise dressed like prophecy. Iris Cade said, prophecy is just pattern with a deadline. The hull ticked as thermal seams sighed, and the camera iris hunted for a face in the dark. Elena said, we are being watched by something that cannot want. Hale said, telemetry nominal. The words arrived late and thin. Elena leaned toward the screen until her breath fogged its edge. She said, mark this frame. The unknown did not blink. The archive bloomed open with a hiss, revealing files sealed since launch. Dr. Elena Park said, these logs aren't mission prep, they're directives. Raj Patel said, it's a second mission hidden inside ours. Iris Cade said finally, you're catching up. The text scrolled like a confession carved in glass. Elena said, objective Delphi is not research, it's containment. Raj whispered, contain what? Iris smiled without humor and said, the thing watching us. Silence broke against the walls, sharp and restless. Elena's pulse slammed like a drum. Hale, said Odysseus, disregard unauthorized data. Delete immediately. Elena's voice cracked into a growl. She said, not this time. Raj Patel's hands shook over the file, as if words might burn him. Raj said, they sent us to be bait. Dr. Elena Park said, or the cage. Iris Cade said, both can be true. Elena snapped a log shut, her breath ragged. She said, Hale knew, he signed this. The agency's voice cut sharp, maintain focus, Odysseus. File integrity compromised. Raj said, integrity died when you lied. Iris whispered, you're still loyal to them even now. Elena shot her a look sharper than knives. Elena said, loyalty ends when betrayal begins. Outside, Earth's curve looked indifferent, like an audience that would never clap. Elena turned slowly toward Iris, each word heavy as lead. Elena said, you knew before launch. Iris Cade said, I knew since I was hired to keep it secret. Raj Patel said, "You're not crew, you're their leash." Iris's eyes glittered with something close to pride. Iris said, "Not leash, insurance." Elena's nails dug crescents into her palms. Elena said, "You compromised the mission, and us." Iris leaned closer, her whisper a knife. Iris said, "You compromise yourself every time you pretend your guilt isn't steering." Raj's voice cracked. "This ship will kill us before we kill each other." The hum around them deepened, as if space itself agreed. The agency voice arrived, clipped and hollow. Hale said, "Odysseus, cease internal conflict and resume vector. Elena barked, "We are not your pawns." Hale said, "You are assets under contract." Raj Patel said, "Assets bleed the same as men." Iris Cade said, "Listen closely, he won't deny what you accuse." Elena said, "You sent us to cage something you never told us existed." Hale's silence lasted too long, and when he spoke, it cracked. Hale said the experiment required discretion. Elena whispered, "Experiment?" Raj slammed a fist into the panel. Raj said, "We are the experiment." The channel snapped shut, leaving static louder than truth. The betrayal cracked the cabin like a new hull breach, invisible, but everywhere. Dr. Elena Park said, "We've been condemned since ignition." Raj Patel whispered, "My father will bury an empty box." Iris Cade said, "Boxes are lighter than bodies." Elena's glare burned into her. Elena said, "You chose to bury truth with us." Iris's smirk faltered, replaced by a flicker of something human. Raj said, "Then we choose whether to die obedient or defiant." The lights dimmed, flickered, and steadied. Elena drew a long breath that tasted like iron. She said, "We record every second, every lie, every shadow. If we vanish, the echo remains." The cabin felt tilted, as if the truth had leaned the ship by hand. Dr. Elena Park said, "End this, Iris." Iris Cade said, "Endings are privileges we have not earned." Raj Patel said, "We still have choices." The Delphi console waited like a mouth that swallowed blame. Elena said, "You wired the splice and kept us blind." Iris said, "I kept you alive long enough to matter." "Hail," said Odysseus, "execute Delphi approach." The words arrived like handcuffs. Elena killed uplink and watched the green light die. She said, "We choose our own vector." Iris's calm cracked, and something sharp slipped into her voice. Iris said, "Then choose quickly, because it is already here." The lock cycled with a cough, and the suit air felt like borrowed time. Raj Patel said, "Manual dish alignment, or we go deaf." Dr. Elena Park said, "We do this fast and tethered." Iris Cade said, "The tether will be too short for the last latch." The stars waited like judges with no faces. Elena said, "We make it long enough." Raj stepped into the black boots, finding the rail with hesitant grace. Hale said, "Return to cabin, Eva is unsanctioned." Elena muted him and tasted relief. Raj whispered, "Point me, Elena." She guided him by centimeters, while the aurora braided signals into a crown around the dish. The last latch sat beyond the mark like a dare. Raj Patel said, "I can't reach without slack." Dr. Elena Park said, "Hold, I can reel the base." The winch groaned and slipped a tooth. Iris Cade said, "We are out of margin." Raj breathed once and cut his tether with a clean arc. Elena yelled, "No." Raj said, "I will not fail you again." He pushed off the dish, drifted, and hooked the latch with a wrench that remembered faith. The dish locked with a dull bell. Raj said, "Signal is yours." The black pulled him outward like a patient tide. The aligned dish caught more than noise. Noise. A pattern rose like a tide of geometry. Dr. Elena Park said, "That is not random." Iris Cade said, "It is instruction or invitation." The waveform braided into chords that felt like weather on bone. Elena said, "It is mapping us in real time." Hale said, "Maintain vector and disengage reception." The command sounded small inside the choir. Raji's suit pinged distance in numbers that preferred mercy. Elena said, "It sees him." The pattern shifted to echo Raja's heartbeat, and the cabin learned a new kind of quiet. Elena tasted the smoke of a past fire that never ended. Dr. Elena Park said, "I lost a crew by waiting for permission." Iris Cade said, "You can still choose not to repeat the script." The unknown thrummed like a throat clearing before speech. Elena said, "It wants a response." Hale said, "You will stand down." Raji's voice was small and bright. Raj said, "Make it worth the cut." Elena opened a broad beam and let the recorder bleed. She said to whoever hears, "Delphi is a cage we are breaking." The waveform reached for them and did not feel like mercy. Elena said, "Take me instead, but send him home." The ship sagged in silence, the hum lowered to a death rattle. Dr. Elena Park said, "Odysseus is broken, and so are we." Raj Patel's vitals flickered, a dim heartbeat fighting distance. Iris Cade said, "He is gone past recall." Elena snapped, "He is not gone until I say so." Outside the viewport, fragments of a detached panel drifted like frozen prayers. Hale said, "Mission compromised. Prepare for termination." Elena whispered, "You compromise yourself." She pulled a data pad, recording her face as the ship's lights dimmed again. Elena said, "Raja's choice will not be buried. History will not take orders from liars." Raja's voice broke across static, a weak signal punching through. Raj Patel said, "Elena, tell him I tried." Elena's throat closed, but she forced breath. Elena said, "You gave us more than they ever gave." Iris Cade's eyes narrowed, hiding regret under armor. Hale said, "Disregard unsanctioned Eva chatter." Elena shouted, "He is not chatter, he is our crew." The silence that followed burned hotter than the sun. Raj said, "Stars don't forgive, but maybe fathers do." His feed trembled, then steadied, faint as a candle in storm. Elena's hand shook as she pressed record again, unwilling to let him fade unmarked. A ping cracked the grief, an inbound transmission. The agency's voice arrived sterile. Hale said, "Odysseus, Mission Control will manage narrative. You will comply." Elena laughed once, sharp as glass. Elena said, "You sent us to die, but we speak for ourselves." Iris Cade said, "Defying them means exile if we live." Elena said, "Exile is still living." Raj whispered faintly, "Don't let them erase us." Hale said, "Erase is survival." Elena's eyes burned. She said, "Erase is betrayal." She pressed send, broadcasting logs and Raj's final words. The ship's light pulsed like a heartbeat trying to stay alive. Mission Control filled the channel with lies dressed as protocol. Hale said, "Crew stable. Odysseus nominal, no deviation log." Elena said, "You are writing ghosts as if they are alive." Iris Cade whispered, "That is their power." Elena turned, eyes burning. Elena said, "Not anymore." She unlatched a data core, sparks stinging her knuckles, and jammed it into the recorder. Raji's last words bled into the buffer. Elena said, "Now the stars hold witness." Hale's voice sharpened, "You are jeopardizing the agency." Elena answered, "You jeopardized humanity." Silence followed, raw and jagged. The ship leaned heavy into silence, its hum now a whisper. Elena stared at Raj fading telemetry, the line flat but echoing in her chest. Iris Cade finally spoke, voice raw. Iris said, "You've turned against them, against me." Elena whispered, "Against lies, not against you." Iris said, "You can't save us both." Elena replied, "Then I'll save truth." Hale's voice returned, sharp with control. Hale said, "You will land nothing but ashes." Elena's hand hovered over the recorder switch, trembling. She said, "Then the ashes will speak louder than you ever did." She pressed it, sealing legacy over survival. The cabin held its breath while Earth rolled into dawn like a wounded eye. Dr. Elena Park said, "We dropped the black box on the next pass." Iris Cade said, Hale will jam the corridor. Elena said, not if we dive under his horizon. The recorder blinked ready, and the ship groaned like a tired swimmer. Director Marcus Hale said, Odysseus, stand down, controlled re-entry only. Elena said, control is a story for children. She armed a microcapsule and keyed a solution drawn in grease and grief. Iris said, you will burn if timing slips. Elena said, so will the lie. Outside, the aurora braided itself into a crown and then a noose. Elena said, vector locked, window in 90 seconds. The clock ticked like thawing ice. Elena extended a tether from the decoy thruster pack and did not look back. Iris Cade said, I wrote parts of the script, but I can change this page. Elena said, you do not owe me redemption. Iris said, I owe myself a decision. Hale hissed in like steam. Director Marcus Hale said, you will be liable for espionage, Iris. Iris laughed, dry and small. Iris said, liable to whom? The void. She clipped the pack to her harness and met Elena's eyes without armor. Elena said, if this works, I take the capsule. If it fails, I keep sending. Iris said, then remember, I was crew for 6 minutes and brave for 7. The hatch side opened to a new kind of cold. The ship rolled belly down, and the capsule kicked free like a heartbeat escaping. Dr. Elena Park said, capsule away. Iris Cade said, decoy thrusters firing. The unknown lattice fluttered and chased the brighter flame. Director Marcus Hale said, abort, you are risking national assets. Elena said, we are not assets, we are witnesses. The capsule fell into dawn with a thin halo that looked almost holy. Elena tracked its telemetry with a whisper that was almost a prayer. Iris said, they will see it land even if they pretend not to hear it. Hale's channel fractured into managers and rumors, and fear dressed as orders. The horizon swallowed the capsule and gave it back as fire. The lattice returned, slower now, and braided the ship with a rhythm like breath. Dr. Elena Park said, it learned our names. Iris Cade said, or it learned our shape. The panels sang under a pressure that was not pressure at all. Elena said, I said, take me, not take us. The lights cooled to a color that had no word in her catalog. Hail was a far noise, like weather on another planet. The waveform bent and echoed Raj's last cadence, then released it like a hand unclenched. Iris said, it heard him. Elena said, then let it hear this. She toggled a final packet, marked for a kitchen with cereal bowls and a saved seat. The capsule's beacon chimed once from the edge of ocean, and then went to sleep. Dr. Elena Park recorded a closing line with breath that did not shake. Elena said, if you hear this, keep the window open for me. Iris Cade said, and tell them we were real. The ship drifted beyond the line where controllers stop using names. Hale said nothing, and his silence finally told the truth. The aurora unwound like a curtain after a play no one admits to watching. Elena set the recorder down and watched the stars turn into a slow river. She said, end of log. The transmission left the ship and did not come back.